Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and thanks for coming by the channel to spend some time with me and watch the video. Always very grateful for that. Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the difference between a straight shank hook and an EWG hook, the two primary type of hooks that are used for worm fishing. We talked about these quite a bit, but I want to sort of give you guys a sort of a foundation on why one works better than the other under different situations. So, because I think it can be a little bit confusing to a lot of people because there's sort of a lot of contradictions. So I'm going to give you guys my opinion on the two here. Also, guys, quick reminder, anyone out there interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blockett Professional Angler. Just shoot me a private message and I'll give you all the details for that. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit about these two different types of hook styles. You got your straight shank worm hook, which is just, usually it's just a round, this is a Gamakatsu G finesse straight shank. It's just a round bend hook or something like an O'Shaughnessy bend like you see with the G finesse. Usually got a keeper here, straight shank hook, been around forever. And then you got the EWG, which is short for extra wide gap, if you're not familiar with what that is. And the EWG has a little bit of a crook, as you can see on the end here, which helps secure your bait on the plastic. And then it's usually got a large gap, you know, this traditional type of a bend here. And I'm sort of going to show you the difference between the two as far as, you know, what you want to use on there. So first of all, I'm going to tell you guys, when you're talking in terms of just hooking fish, you know, just purely when you get a bite hooking a fish, the straight shank hook is better. Problem with the straight shank hook, a lot of times it's not as user friendly because let's say, for example, you know, you put it in the worm like this, and a lot of times even if you have a keeper, a lot of times this head will slide down on it. And then another issue with the EWG hook a lot of times is getting good hook penetration and keeping the worm straight. A lot of people, you know, they hook their worms like this just in the middle of the worm. And the problem if you do that is you've got a tremendous amount of plastic to penetrate. And then if you try to go on the side of it like I do, you know, you can get it straight, but it's a little bit more effort and you have to jack with it just a little bit more. So it's a little bit harder to not only rig the worm straight, but it's all harder to rig the hook position to where you get the maximum hook penetration and keep the worm straight. Now the EWG hook, on the other hand, is very user-friendly because you put it in like this, about 1/4 of an inch, you run through all the way, and when you run through that EWG, it locks it into place, you know, really easy. And then you come through all the way, the bait, like through the end there, lay it on the top, maybe you just put it back in there a little bit. So the EWG setup is a really, it's a really easy way to rig the worm straight every time and keep it worm in place. Now, given that, most people would say, well, Randy, I just want to use the EWG because it's easy and, you know, it's just quicker. Here's the difference between the two, guys, from what I found out about it. I've experimented extensively because I used both for a long time. I went through a period of about probably 5 years where I used nothing but EWG hooks, and I went to the straight shank hooks. And I can tell you for sure, if you, say for example, if you get 100 bites on a plastic worm, if you land probably, you know, 75% of those bass on an EWG hook, if you use a straight shank hook, you're going to land 85% of those fish. There's probably about a 10% difference in the number of fish that you will land with a straight shank hook. So from that standpoint, as a tournament angler, that's why I use straight shank hooks almost exclusively. Now there are some baits out there that you can't use a straight shank hook very good in, as far as, you know, the way the bait lays. You know, a tube is a prime example. You can't use a straight shank hook on a tube. And some baits, the bait just lays, looks a little bit different. But overall, you know, 95% of my fishing, guys, I use a straight shank Gamakatsu G finesse hook. And I'll link my hooks that I use in the description of the video through my Tackle Warehouse link if you guys want to get some of those G finesse hooks. But my advice, guys, is, like I said, get you a handful of EWGs for just things like the tubes and certain baits like that. But overall, you know, stay with the straight shank and just really get comfortable with rigging the thing and practice rigging it straight, practice rigging it, you know, skin hooking it on the side. I just think it's going to add up to some more, you know, a lot more percentage of getting those fish in the boat. So hope it helps out, guys.